Let's change topics and talk about Mayor Mamdani because this is something that a lot of people, Jewish people in America, even if you live in New York City or you don't live in New York City, you're still talking about him. And people are very concerned about his views on Israel. And, he suggests that Israel has a right to exist, but not as a Jewish state. Have you spoken to the mayor? Have you talked to him, expressed?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have
okay.
spoken with him a few times, few meaning three. And each time I've emphasized the need to have a constructive relationship with the Jewish community. It's very um, uninspiring, and you can't convince people that if you inflame the atmosphere, that you're going to keep the Jews safe. It's like someone who's an arsonist says, "Don't worry, I'll call the fire department." So I told them that let's have a moratorium on the Middle East. We don't need to discuss the Middle East all the time or any of the time, or maybe occasionally. But when it seems to be there's a consistency of comments he's made, of comments his wife has posted publicly, not privately. So we have real concerns. We have an Israel Day parade coming up, Carl. And the question is, well, if he says that Israel is not entitled to a Jewish state, then is he going to march in the parade? And I think the answer is no, he won't. I don't think he can, given his views. So for the first time in the history of New York, as I remember, I didn't go back to Peter Stuyvesant when this was called New Amsterdam, but to think that you could win an election and have this kind of anti-Israel view is something hard to absorb. So yeah, we are concerned. Look, we can have disagreements. We all disagree. Someone said that the Jewish star is the most fitting symbol for the Jewish people because you have two triangles going in opposite directions. Because we know what it is to disagree with one another. But at least the Jewish star is on one flag. But to have this kind of relationship that is efficient in having the kind of opportunity to talk to each other and disagree civilly, we don't have that. We just talk at each other or about each other, but not really much with each other. It's a genuine worry. We have
So
enough to
how
about.
do we change that? If you're in one bubble or the other bubble, you're not talking to each other, and you can't hate half America. You could, but you really shouldn't.
You know, I remember so many times I hear a president of a country say, "I was elected president of all the people. I may not have been elected by all the people who they didn't vote for me, but I am now elected. I'm the president of all the people." The mayor has said, "I am the mayor of all of New York." And I think it's incumbent upon him to sit down and have meaningful engagement with those who disagree. It's very easy to sit with those, who have the same point of view. That's no challenge. But when you're a leader, you have to be able to spend that necessary time with people who strongly disagree with your point of view. Because at the end of the day, your responsibility is to protect them. So I've said that to him. I've also said I think it would be right for the mayor to visit Jewish college students on campuses to hear their stories, but above all, to see that there is a mainstream Jewish community with who there isn't this kind of necessary relationship or engagement. So yeah, we've spoken. And by the way, I'm a firm believer of being in the room, being at the table and having discussions. I was designated to serve on the transition committee, part of because of my FDNY relationship. But people said to me, "Why would you want to serve?" I said, "Because I've been outside many places over the years protesting. When you're in the room, I'd rather protest face to face and be able to say and be able to listen, because that's where you can try to effectuate change or mitigate damage." So I'll continue to do that, and I look forward to having that kind of sit down, whether it's one on one, whether it's a few others. We had the board of rabbis met with him. Our officers met with him one time, and people were very strong in their views, and he listened. But we know his view. Question is, how do you have a city with opposing views and still have a very respectful relationship?